You are watching me, Mick, on my YouTube channel, Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on X at Movies TV Mad, on Instagram, Movies TV Mad X, and of course on my TikTok, Mick Isn't Perfect, because guess what? Mick isn't perfect, but he's getting there. Ever since I knew Russell T Davies was returning to Doctor Who, I was convinced he was going to pull a fast one. What do I mean by that? Well, Russell T Davies has come back to run Doctor Who at a very unique, difficult time. The previous showrunner creating a brand new origin story for the Doctor, saying that Bill Hartnell wasn't in fact the first Doctor, but the Doctor is from a secret other universe in a mysterious planet we've never heard of. And that the Time Lords found him and created, well, they weren't even Time Lords when they found the Doctor. Not him, found them when they found the Doctor and used their DNA to create Time Lord Society. Now, this new origin story has been met by a thumbs down by a lot of hardcore Doctor Who fans. But RTD has been polarizing those fans because Chibnall, Davies, Moffat, none of the people in this country club that have been running Doctor Who since 2005 like you very much, and they will say anything to wind you up and trigger you. Maybe even cast a historically inaccurate actor to play a historical figure. But whatever the case may be, RTD needs Doctor Who to win again. We've seen ratings for anniversary specials coming from 5.1 million, and this week's Wild Blue Yonder go down just slightly at about, 480? Not a bad drop by any stretch of the imagination. But can Doctor Who go on? And what do you do with a problem like the Timeless Children? I think it's a unique, interesting little idea, but it was never meant to be a unique, interesting little idea. It was just a hot take by a big baby. But saying all of that, how do we go forward? Well, in Wild Blue Yonder, interestingly, RTD decided to shave against the grain and have the Doctor mention it. And it was very interesting. Flux was mentioned. The destruction of half the universe was mentioned. The fact that the Doctor doesn't know where they're from was mentioned. Now, this is very interesting because if you stay with the Timeless Children canon, you can't ignore it. It can't just be the elephant in the room. Like it or not, it has to be established. I'm not suggesting we find out what universe they're from, but it needs to be established. It needs to bother the Doctor because this is new. So whether you like it or not, it cannot be ignored. Russell T Davies has already said he ain't rewriting his friend Chris Chibnall's Timeless Child arc, which is interesting. But he's going to do something. I've said this many times on my platforms, and what he does interest me a great deal. How is he going to move forward? As I've predicted, he may not be unwriting it, but he will do something that so he doesn't have to deal with it in the Ncuti Gatwa era or going forward with any other actor playing the Doctor. Now, I've spoken about theories I've had. Could it be that the Doctor returning with this older face is an identity crisis, and already Ncuti Gatwa is the Doctor, but basically the Doctor is projecting with a more vibrant self? Now, although that's a good idea, even if it was my own, maybe that's not the case. So what will happen at the end of the giggle? I give you two options. Either the Doctor Who universe will be rebooted, but I think we're looking at another scenario. Russell T Davies on his Instagram posted from script to screen. Basically, a portion of the script. Now, I didn't really understand if he meant he deleted some of it and it never made the episode, but here is a line from it. He spoke about basically he has the Doctor telling Donna that he has been in great time ships straddling the multiverse. Yes, Russell T Davies mentions the multiverse. Isn't that interesting? Because from the very beginning, I believed we were looking at a multiverse Doctor Who universe with RTD basically bringing in the multiverse. And I believe that Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor probably is another universe Doctor. Because there's a reason why RTD keeps on calling Ncuti's first season 1 rather than season 14. He keeps on talking about season 2, 3, 4, 7. Why is he doing this? Because there's a method to the man's madness, because he knows he needs to fix Doctor Who. Now, that's not a very popular thing to say, but there are the facts. Now, I believe his strategy for the 60th anniversary hasn't worked thus far. It's flattered to deceive with 2 serviceable episodes that would be fine in a regular series of Doctor Who, but there's nothing very special about them. In 5 years' time, you will not be remembering or re-watching these episodes. And I believe the 14th Doctor is nothing more than rewriting the history of the 10th Doctor. He's another Jake Skywalker, if you ask me. Now, these were the things I was going to talk about today. But while having a cigarette on my kitchen patio, I was thinking about the future of Doctor Who that now resides in an episode called The Giggle. And that, my friends, is no laughing matter. So, if we go back to the James Bond film, Casino Royale, now, James Bond wasn't dealing with multiverses or anything so scientific or science fiction, but they did take Daniel Craig's James Bond away from the original continuity and began a new continuity. Now, they killed him off and they'll probably start a new continuity, because I don't think they'll go back to the original Bond continuity, because the reason they left that Bond continuity is because they found it problematic, the treatment of women, the sexualization of women. It's not very current day, and current day entertainment don't like that Bond. This is why Craig wouldn't have wanted to be part of that either, because he's very extreme left and very progressive as well. Maybe at his insistence, they took him out of the original continuity. But we're not here to talk about Casino Royale and Daniel Craig. But I believe that we're going to do the same thing here with Doctor Who. Well, not we, but Russell T Davies, his production team, and his creative team. I think they're going to leave the original continuity of Doctor Who for the same reasons, because they think it's problematic, because there were a lot of sexualized young women as the companions. We can remember Perry's low-cut top. Even Peter Davison talking about his last scene, and all he could see was basically the actress's cleavage, So very problematic in current day terms. So it wouldn't surprise me, because if you look at the noises that RTD is making about being progressive, being inclusive and representative, it makes absolute sense to me that they would take him away. Now, it's very interesting, the whole Davros situation as well. Now, obviously, the Children in Need scene was a bit of a laugh and a giggle, but he did speak about, taking Davros out of the chair, and it may be something that can be easily explained in the multiverse, rather than saying, we're going to go back in time before Davros actually becomes the Davros we know and love, or know and hate, whatever your opinion on Davros is, because after all, he is a villain. But anyway, so I believe we may be so what is the best way to do this? If you reboot the universe, you cancel 60 years of history. And I don't believe even current day entertainment can survive that. I mean, they're surviving very little, because there is a divide. There is a polarization, because you've got people of my age who love the good old days of entertainment, and there's today's generation who think it's utterly problematic. I understand today's mindset. I do. And, growing up, we watch great entertainment, but there's lots of problems within it. I can't deny that. And I can't pretend that the progressives' kind of mindset on that is wrong. And what do we do about this? It's a very difficult thing, because I don't think there's a right or wrong. Both sides have got points here. But ultimately, there is a problem in modern day entertainment. Although they're quite progressive, they don't seem to understand that they still need to be entertaining and give character development and evolution. This is what we're missing today. It's fine to be progressive, but it's not fine to take the entertainment out of something. And when they talk about visibility, they talk about tokenism. That's why they talk about visibility. As long as you can see yourself on the screen, it's fine, right? We don't have to do anything else. Yeah, you do. It's called entertainment. You need to educate, you need to entertain, you need to uplift us emotionally. That's the whole point. Or like Disney are finding out now, you ain't gonna make any money. So basically, Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor, coming from another universe, is the most, if you want to move away from the original Doctor Who continuity, which I believe they're going to do, basically the perfect solution is to just leave this universe. Now, why did Russell T Davies mention the flux? Was it to stroke Chibnall's ego? No. Was it to say, oh yeah, this is the continuity now, we are not going to ignore the timeless children? No. You are going to see how ruthless RTD is in the giggle. You really, really are. Because I believe he's taking Doctor Who out of this universe. Think about this. Half of the universe was destroyed. What if it's just a matter of time in this version of the Doctor Who multiverse if the rest of it crumbles along with it? We have seen Ncuti Gatwa in a weird background of sky. He seems to be in a no place. It's interesting, isn't it? And now we've seen the Doctor in the, let me say that again, we've seen David Tennant's Doctor with the same background. So it's all very, very interesting. So, you know, you have two scenarios here, that they're resetting the entire universe, or that Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor is from another universe. Very, very interesting, although we do see David's Doctor start to regenerate, and it does seem that Ncuti is wearing David's clothes. So that would hint at some type of regeneration. But nothing here is normal. It's not. From the moment they decided to bring back Tennant as the Doctor, not as the version of the 10th Doctor from his timeline, like they did in the Day of the Doctor. No, this is basically David Tennant as another version of the Doctor, the next version of the Doctor coming back with his old face. Canonically, this simply doesn't happen in Doctor Who. We saw that Children in Need special when Eccleston becomes Tennant, and you know, Rose asks if he can go back to the Eccleston, the number 9 Doctor, and he says, no, I can't. Which says what's happened is an impossibility. Now, obviously, Russell T Davies can change whatever he wants. Canonically, let's be honest, he created this wonderful ending for Donna in Journey's End, then he took it away, and the way he solved it, let's be honest, was ridiculous, and I'm not happy about it one little bit. Yes, I love Russell T Davies. He's my creative hero. But you can criticize your heroes constructively, and if they can't handle that criticism, that's on them. I'm not being rude. I'm not being toxic. I couldn't care less about the Doctor potentially being gay. I simply don't care. That's fine with me. Have orgies on the new big console of the TARDIS, right? If you want to change the ethnicity of historical figures, that's fine, because guess what? We know the true ethnicity of these historical figures. So entertainment can't rewrite history, but if it helps them sleep at night for their mindset and their ideology, that's fine with me. I'm happy to help people who maybe are not the full ticket to sleep better at night. Maybe it gives them a headache that Sir Isaac Newton was white. Maybe they don't like the fact that someone who was so clever and invented something or discovered something so important to the world, is what? I don't know. Because there is bigotry within the extreme left and progressive kind of ideology. Because basically the extreme left and the extreme right hate different groups of people. That's who they are. Neither one of them are basically on the right side. Let's be honest about that. And one side runs the entertainment industry. But I am choosing to ignore all of that because I'm here to enjoy my entertainment. I'm not interested in getting views and clicks on talking about the culture war. The culture war bores the shit out of me. All those conversations. I've been watching television and film since I was a small boy. And all I care about is fantasy, escapism, a little bit of education in my entertainment as well. I'm being uplifted emotionally. And Russell T Davies' Doctor Who has done that so many times. But it's clear we're at a place now where I believe we're going to leave this continuity of Doctor Who. And I believe by bringing a doctor from another universe, from the multiverse, is the best way possible. It also means if you use the multiverse now and again, you can do spin-offs of other doctors from the other side of the multiverse, from the original continuity. Basically, you can do whatever you want. But let's look at this whole thing they're doing on BBC iPlayer, and officially now, Doctor Who is the Whoniverse, right? Now, Russell T Davies saying, or attempting to say, this means Classic and New Who are all part of one universe. But again, Russell T Davies can be very economical with the truth. Russell T Davies can say one thing and do another. I've heard him say before, Doctor Who's rooted in death. Then he said people saying Rose was going to die. In Doomsday, he goes, this is a show going out at 7 o'clock at night. We're not here to kill people. You see, that he contradicts himself a lot with what he says. Basically, he says what suits him at the time. And I want to stay on this subject of how we move forward with Doctor Who. And, the timeless child elephant in the room. But something very interesting has happened, because as I said on the top of the show, the strategy for the 60th anniversary is failing thus far, because we've been sold a lemon. Because right now, it seems the intention wasn't to celebrate Doctor Who with 3 epic anniversary specials, as maybe the fans deemed them to be, with returning characters, returning doctors, a multi-doctor story like we would like to see. So what was the giggle? No, let's start again. What was Star Beast and Wild Blue Yonder? Well, I've explained they're nothing more than serviceable stories, and that's not what you want. Russell T Davies, in a video interview, tried to explain away why he kept Wild Blue Yonder so secretive, and maybe it was a mistake. Yeah, you're telling me because people worked out what you did. But he did retain his almost 5 million viewers on Saturday night, live viewers. So basically, the blag worked, and it was nothing more than a blag. He said he likes to keep things secret, so there's no spoilers. Nonsense. Reason you kept that episode a secret, and he said something very interesting as well. He said, because with the reason we kept it a secret is because if we told you that it was just an episode between Donna and the Doctor having doubles and that's it, you'd say, oh, that's boring and it's not worth watching. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. The real reason he hid the episode. But there's another reason as well. He wanted you to believe that they were keeping it a secret because something big was going to happen. To keep the audience. It was a trick. When people in this industry admit to something and say, maybe we've done a mistake, it's because they're trying to find a way to spin themselves out of it. Find a way to wheedle their ways out of it. Because I know this industry very, very well. So when they admit to doing something wrong, it's because they've been caught with their pants down and they're trying to spin the narrative. He knew exactly what he was doing when he made this episode ultra secretive. It was an episode that had nothing to hide, and we all know that. We already told in leaks that they were going to mention the Flux and the Timeless Children. We already knew that. Anyway, next 10 minutes, let's talk about the giggle and what this could mean for the future of Doctor Who. Because it isn't any laughing matter. Russell T Davies has put himself in a position where the giggle has to cook. It has to be one of the best Doctor Who episodes ever. It has to be The Waters of Mars. It has to be Midnight. It has to be The End of Time Part 2. It really has to cook. And if it doesn't, the future of Doctor Who is in big trouble. Because since David Tennant left as the full-time Doctor, we have seen a decline slowly but surely in the ratings. Because David Tennant is Christopher Reeve, he is Sean Connery, he's even Tom Baker, he's those iconic versions of these Doctors. And I think there's a temptation to use someone like that while they're living to try and save something that doesn't necessarily work. As I said about the MCU and lots of other things, empires are destroyed from within. Russell T Davies recreated Doctor Who. He brought it back. He relaunched it. He didn't reboot it. And it worked because he was doing his best work, because his heart was in the right place. As we spoke about earlier, there's a problem in entertainment right now where they hate a section of their customer, and they really want you to know not only do they hate you, but they hate your opinions, they hate your political views. And this civil war between a section of the consumer and the entertainment industry. Now, to have that kind of mentality where you're at war with your own customer shows something sadly lacking in the people running entertainment today. Because you're not here to be politicians. You're here to entertain us and educate children. Not re-educate children, not throw out propaganda. So when you're doing history, you need to do it accurately. But they're not interested in that. They are so triggered by their own mindset that they're rewriting real history, which is insane if you ask me. But the giggle is a very important episode now, because it basically is got to be better than the Day of the Doctor. But here's the thing. The giggle is under more pressure than the Day of the Doctor because we are introducing a brand new Doctor. On Christmas Day, we're introducing a brand new companion. That's very difficult, because when we look on the first Christmas special, the Christmas Invasion, we had a brand new Doctor, which we barely saw to the third act, and really it was Billy Piper's Rose Tyler's episode. And it was great, and it worked, and we got this great introduction to this brand new Doctor and David killed it, didn't he? David was amazing, as he always is. And that really solidified his Doctor in our hearts and minds. But he is the most popular version of this character in the revival. And I think this is one of the problems with bringing him back, because Ncuti Gatwa has to be really good. Millie Gibson has to be really good. Now, I know Millie Gibson's really talented. I purposely refuse to watch Sex Education or anything Ncuti's done, because I don't want to make any prejudgments on him as an actor or as a Doctor. I want to go in fresh and see what Russell is going to give him to do. But he really has to cook. And, you know, I don't know how much we're going to see of him in the giggle. Because in a way it would be good, considering that the church on Ruby Road is focused on Ruby Sunday, Millie's character, that you'd think you'd need to kind of ingrain him in our hearts and minds like Tennant was in the Christmas Invasion. Because if the episode is more about the companion on Christmas Day than the Doctor, then it's going to take people time to get used to that new Doctor, which is a bit of a problem if you ask me, because, you know, the last Doctor, not the 10th and 14th Doctor, But, Jodie Whittaker's Doctor was really only popular with a few people. She had a cult audience. She didn't have a huge audience. David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston had a huge audience for their doctors. They were much beloved because not only did those actors do a great job, but as I say, Russell T Davies was doing his best work. Russell T Davies has tried his best to trigger a section of the audience he doesn't like. He's at war with that audience just like Chibnall is. And when you're at war with your customer, you've got a bit of a problem. But this is the modern day mindset. This is the current day mindset. This is where we are, not just in entertainment, but we've seen alcoholic beverages trigger certain people, the people who mostly drink their beer. We've seen a lot of corporations, Gillette, putting men on trial in that Gillette ad as well. Man bashing. It was horrible, wasn't it? This is where we are today. The world has gone absolutely crazy. And the discourse is on a new level. And personally, as a man, I don't know what to make of it anymore. But it is my belief that Ncuti Gatwa will be from a new timeline of doctors and not from the timeline from the past 60 years. So I think he'll keep this timeline going. It's just there on this universe that can't be lived on anymore. And basically this doctor, because this is an interesting thing to ask as well, because what universe are we actually on? Think about this. This is something that I haven't thought about. Are we on the current Doctor Who's universe? Or could we be already on a new universe? Maybe Jodie's Doctor somehow was on another universe when she regenerated after she left Yaz. Maybe. Or maybe the TARDIS was already there. I don't know how it works, what we're saying. But maybe as the Doctor regenerated, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. Let me start again. Now, let me start this again because I'm getting a little bit confused here, right? But think about this for a minute. What if the Doctor that we're seeing now is already from another universe? What if this is actually, that's what I'm saying, sorry for being a bit confusing. But maybe if this is the human metacrisis version of David Tennant's Doctor, well, he's already from another universe. So if he does regenerate into Ncuti, he will be from another universe. Interesting, right? What if we start focusing Doctor Who from the Bad Wolf Bay in the other universe, right? What if that's the universe Doctor Who is based in from now on? It's interesting, isn't it? But if this is the human metacrisis Doctor, can he even regenerate? He's half human. I suppose, mate. I mean, we were told that he couldn't and he would just live out a human life and that will be it. But what if he can regenerate? It's interesting, isn't it? But here's another question for you. This is actually, we can twist this around a little bit. Let's talk about the Earth that Rose is on. The other Earth that, the Doctor left her on. It's an alternate world, right? Is there any reason why there wouldn't be a Doctor on that other Earth? So we can focus on that Earth. It's interesting. But whether I'm right or wrong with my little theories, there's one thing we can certainly say, that Russell T Davies is certainly up to something here. And the next Doctor isn't just going to come in through a bog standard, ordinary regeneration. Why did the Doctor's old face come back? What's going on? And of course, we've got this brilliant villain coming back to Doctor Who, the Celestial Toymaker, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully, at least his performance is a lot of fun. Because at this stage, I don't know what to think anymore. Should I be excited? Should I be expecting yet another underwhelming episode? We're gonna have to wait and see. Because Russell T Davies is still the writer he's always been. But is he willing to deliver top dollar Doctor Who?